Morning, everyone. So, lots of stuff happening today. Well, at least in the world, not really where I am. Random topics. First, EDC has been postponed. It was official, I guess it was a couple hours ago or last night. Not surprising, I think, to anybody, including myself. As I spoke about in the last video, it'll be interesting what happens for next year's team. Who gets on, who wants to go, who tries. Um, I know, personally, who knows if one, if I'll make it again, but two, if I can go, with maybe buying a house or kids or some, who knows. But I mean, I'll keep playing and whatnot. But with that, actually, I found it very interesting through this process this year. If I had, and I think it was great step in the right direction with the Discord, the USA Discord, and it's nice to see everybody else from other countries in there now, talking and. There is a need for a USA, not just USA people, but I mean, I like that everybody's in that Discord, but for the applicants to kind of, like as I said in the last video, we can't all be enemies all the time. There has to be some form of like engagement within each other. Because I think when picking the team in general, like I said, I didn't pick the team this year, but obviously, after having gotten on the team, I knew some of the steps that were taken, like what people saw and whatnot, and I think my advice to anybody who wants to get on the team, I think engagement is big. Like like not all the time, but like being fairly engaged, um, for the whole year. And even if you're just looking at lists or just talking, or you're playing games and reporting back, or just seeming interested. Because I felt like after it was done, there was a couple, like there's a lot of applicants because they were like color coded in Discord. Um, there were a lot of applicants, and I was like, do they even want to be on the team anymore? Like, there's just people who were like applied, quote unquote, applied, and like I rarely heard from them, or I'm like, they didn't like express interest after the fact, and then maybe after the team was picked, they were like, well, why wasn't I considered? And they didn't ask me, but I heard from the others, like the ones who had made the ones who had made the team before me, and I guess I was like, maybe they just didn't engage a lot. So I think engaging is big. You got to be, show that you're out there, show that you want to go, and play. So I think that's a big one. Obviously, playing and doing well is important. Uh, as much as we want everything to be about skill and stuff, especially from the U.S., the America point of view, and being on the team years ago. You want to go with guys you like, right? And you don't have to love them. Like, listen, anyone who knows Matt Cassidy, and he doesn't listen to my videos, was like, he's not the easiest guy to work with. He was a solid player, but he was difficult. Um, but he was, I didn't hate him. I went to his house and played and practiced and whatnot. But I think you have to, like, we want to, not we, the team should be a bonded group. And if there's a lot of animosity between players in the team itself, it just creates like a really bad dynamic. So I think being engaged and you can be a bit of a troll. I'm a troll, but at the same time, being able to work with everybody, that's something, get to know people. I mean, as much as it is a bit of a friend thing, but it doesn't have to be like you're the best friends. But you should be like talking to people and getting ideas, and engagement. I think is always big. Skills, obviously big. Interesting enough, I think Army should be bigger than it is. Um, because this is really big in other countries per se. At least Poland, it's really big. Like they rarely switch armies. The biggest shift from last year to this year has been a lot of the Undying Dynasty players have switched to warriors. Like Little Thomas from Germany switched to warriors. Chino from Poland was switching to warriors. Hell, Fedor from Spain, who played UD, switched to warriors. Even Phil was switching to warriors a bit. Um, but take the landscape now, right? It's April, so ETC is very far away for next year. It's still 16 months. And the landscape's going to change with a new ID book, potentially new Dark Elf book, new uh, VS book potentially. Obviously, the books will get changed as far as balancing. You know, High Elves got kind of buffed up now, so now they're super strong. But you know, if you really want to make the team, and I'll do the same thing if I'm going out for the team too, is you should pick an army that you think you can be one really good on, two is strong, and almost every book can get to ETC if the player is good enough. But also try to be the best player on that book that wants to go to ETC. I think that's the key, right? So if you think that Chris Mintz is the best VC player in America and he wants to go to ETC, and which he does, unless you think you can be a better VC player than him, you shouldn't play VC and try to make the team because it's going to look bad when, you know, you're like, oh, but I'm the second. If you're the third best player in the country and you play VC and Chris is the best, this is a hypothetical. It's still hard to pick you because who said you're going to be the third best player on other armies? You haven't shown anything, and that's very common to see. Is that people who switch armies are not as good on the armies they switch to unless they switch to it early enough um, to get a lot of games on it in. So in that example, if you really don't think you can be better than, and think of it this way from a team building perspective, if you think you're good enough to be on the team, and you think Mince is one of the top 8 people that should be on the team, then what do you get by playing vampires and trying to beat him out of it, right? Because then he's forced to switch to his army potentially. Um, like that's right. If you're better than him, and now he's the number 3 and you're number 1, whatever, then he has to switch to an army he's not as good on, and the team is overall weaker because if you both get on the team, one you have to switch, and if one of you doesn't get on the team, then they're missing one of the better players because you both play the same shit. So that's actually something I think is something to consider. And now it's really far out. You should be playing whatever you want. It's not a big deal now. But as you know, there was a moment in what was it, October, November, right after I started coming back, where I was like, "Fuck, I don't know if I want to play Warriors." And I thought about because I own Dark Elves and I play Dark Elves a lot. And I thought, and the new book was potentially coming out, blah blah blah. And Thomas was like, unless you can get another 50, 70 games on your Dark Elves, do not switch. Because I had like 40 to 50 games at that time, or maybe 30 to 40. He's like, do not switch your army because you're going to want to have, the 80 to 100 games by the time ETC comes. And, you know, you just got to have to try to be the best on the Warriors of the applicants at that time. So I think, there's as of now there's so much time, but probably come around the end of the year, slash beginning of the next year, depending on how many tournaments you go to, you should pick something that you want to play and play the crap out of it. And I think things that are highly looked after, and this is like back when I was on the team years ago, and I had a lot of influence in picking people then. So playing different builds and being very willing to like try different things and see how it works and be analytical about it. Um, you know, don't blame dice a lot. I think that's a big one. Like no one gives a shit about your dice excuses. Like we do. No one does. No, you can say like this happened and whatnot, but like it's better to just man up and take the loss and say shit. I played bad. My strategy was bad, than to like complain about dice and then use that. Like no one cares that that's your excuse. Like it just looks bad in my opinion. Um, So I mean, and that's part of the optics of the politics of ETC is if you got a zero, and again it's the other way, right? Not taking your wins and losses too seriously, right? It doesn't matter that you played this one player and beat him one time 4 years. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. Like there's a whole package of how you analyze games. What's your potential? What army do you play? Do people like you? Are you engaging? Do you have good ideas? Are you willing to try different things? You know, because half the American tournaments, 3 of your games are somebody who just runs in your face, and you beat them. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't. You could play 300 UB games like Omer, and now Omer, I do. He did play a lot of ETC guys from other countries, so this is not applied to him. But I could cherry pick the players I play on ETC for 300 games and win 270 of them because half the people on UB suck, right? And that doesn't like that doesn't matter. Like your win percentage doesn't matter if you're playing against bad people because when you play against the good people, that's what really matters. Like being able to stand up to um, the good people, because I think one weakness or one thing the team needs that sometimes it doesn't is you don't need 8 superstars. You look at teams like Germany, Poland, Spain, like they're 7, 8, 9. They're 7, 8, 6, 7, 8 guys. They're not like superstars of the game. They're good players, but they're if you look at some of them, they're gonna get like 60, 70 at ETC versus like other good players. I was looking at was it Arambe? He was not Arambe. It was Garza was the demon player of Spain, and he scored 60 points. It might have been 61, and his fucking 6 matchups were like super good people. I was like, holy shit! Like even when he played like the bad teams, he played like the best person on the bad team, and he got 61. And I was like, damn, that's a guy you want on your team. The guy who freaking takes people like, who was he? Whoever he played, I forgot. He played like Coco Freeze, which was like a really good player. He's Shiny, which was one of the Lizard guys, got like 102. He got like an 8, a 10 versus him or something. Like shit like that, where you need these guys that can go up to the big boys and put up a fight. And sometimes they win, sometimes they don't, sometimes they tie, but you can't have the people that just fold. So there is a lot of, there's both sides to it. But anyway, we'll see how EDC pans out in the next 16 months, but it's pretty exciting. At least we know now. It's not exciting that it's gone, but we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting time. So what's happening in the now? Well, the now is Coronacon. So Coronacon is just finishing up round 3. There's still a couple games left to be played. I think Travis is playing his game in a couple minutes. Um, so here's how the standings look right now. So Furion did beat Thomas in a 7-hour horrible match to watch. I played my game. I started my game when they were like starting turn 1, and I think I finished my game when they were like on turn 4 or 5. It was crazy long. Very close. Ended up 15-5 for Furion. At one moment, I actually thought Thomas was going to win it, and I think a couple solid break checks, and obviously decisions and stuff from there. But there's a couple break checks where Furion might have lost if he failed like a 7 or 8 break check with his Griffin. But anyway, good game there, obviously. One interesting part I like about this tournament is watching for 30 games, and I watch a lot of games, or at least jump in, watching a lot of games on the same map, on the same um, deployment and scenario, because you kind of get the sense of like how people play flags, how people hide everything in the back with their scoring, or how people in the breakthrough one with the terrain in the middle, a lot of people would put their army like on one side, and you see kind of this clock game where one person went this way and one person went this way. Um, in this game, you saw a lot of people hide their scoring and use their magic to kind of win the game. So it's just interesting in general. So let's see who we got. So Philip, he did get a free 20, but I know he's a good player, so he's up there and probably gonna play Furion. Miguel Tuba is a good Spanish player. It's actually funny. I think this guy's Argentinian, or he played for Argentina, Ivan Diaz. So I think the top 6 people are all different countries. Then you get Scrub here, so this is going to be a tough whoever gets Scrub or Thomas. I'm up here for now. People could jump me. There's a couple guys like who have like this. If he wins 20-0, he'll jump all the way to up here to like where Furion is. So probably one other person will be jumped up here. So it's maybe 2. Who else only has 2 games left? Mad. So this guy, depending on how he does, could jump up. So we'll see how we all end up at the top. But it's going well. It's interesting. The mix of armies. The Vermins are starting to drop a little more. A lot of good Warriors players are playing. Actually, there's like of the 6 Warriors players, I think 5 at least have been to ETC, or if not current ETC players. So that's pretty cool. I'm interested to see what army pans out and wins the most, highest average score. Let's see what else. So we are looking to do a team event soon. So I have a survey out there on what people are thinking. I will, if you're in the Discord, I'll post it again today just so that people can answer again. I think it's leaning towards a 4-man team event with some other rules involved, but I think that'll be fun. and engaging. So look out for that, guys, if you want to play in that. I think everyone always wants more games because the problem is, you kind of need 5 days to play your games, um, because people have different time frames and stuff. But if you play your game on the first day, then you're waiting almost a week to play your next game. So it kind of is like, I want more games. Well, you can always play on UB, but it's not the same. It feels better when it's a tournament. Um, so yeah, Coronacon's going well. I'll be curious how it ends up. Um, got a big group of USA players right here, which is interesting. And I guess I'm the highest one right now, but Travis can jump me. But it's going well. Let's see how the next game goes. So as far as lists go, since it's me talking, I haven't looked too much at everybody, all the other warriors. Not many of them, I believe. I know he didn't change his list. Tonka doesn't appear to change his list. Jeremy might have changed a little thing, but it's still like the less stuff. Ben's list is like the same. So my list is changed for. I played this round, and I'll probably play it next round again, just because I liked it. So we'll talk about it a little. So it has a Herald, Sorcerer on an Adept on Chariot, uh, Barbarians, Hounds, Feldrakes, Chosen. So I have 4 scoring, which I like, because I had 3. So I had an aggro version where essentially this and the Feldrax were 2 warrior chariots and another elder, and then the core was like this was 2 warrior blocks instead. The reason they're barbarians now is because I have 3 units that can go in them. Like the giants and the shrine can go into these units and hide from shooting and stuff like that. And they're faster because they can run out on their own. I found the chariots were a little slow, and the fact that they couldn't flee was a little obnoxious. So it's more of an aggro build that has solid magic because I have 3 channels and 6 spells. And ask Kirby about the last game where my magic just like a Veilwalker Herald just killed like everything. And I used to have a adept on alchemy, and I changed to occultism recently, and I've started to like it more. I think the breath has a little more uses. The ward save's not bad, and like with this kind of build, like the armor isn't that great because I have so many targets. It's like, who do you put the armor on? I don't have warriors, so it's not as good. And Glory Gold's obviously a good buff. So it just depends. So far it's been going well, and we'll see what the next round entails. I think, is that it? Is that all I have to say? Thought I had another topic, but no, I think that's good. I think we're gonna see how Coronacon goes. See who I play next. It's probably gonna be Little Thomas or this Sylvanel's Jens. I hope I play Little Thomas. I'd rather play him. I don't know how I do versus all the shooting of the Sylvan Elves. Um, but yeah, I think look out for the team tournament, guys. If I remember, I'll post a link to the Survey Monkey in the comments if you want to play in it. I believe it's going to be 4-man teams that are, you can choose them however you want. We talked about doing like a draft or an auction or something, but with so many teams, um, I think it's going to be however you want. So if you want to do an auction between you and your friends to mix it up, go do that. If you want to do random between you and your friends, go do that. If you want your countrymen, if you want to find people from other countries, do whatever you want. But it'll be, it's serious, but it's not serious. It's a UB a fucking event. So, you know, you don't need to go make the super team of Furion Scrub and you know what I mean? Like that's just boring at that point. But it'll be fun and it'll be a little more adventure, a little bit more interesting in between rounds to like talk to your team and everyone can have their own little team chat and stuff like that. I do think it'll be 4-man teams, 60-20 round caps, I think it'll be fixed list for this event. I believe the vote is close, but I think no, not allowing the extra shit is going to be the way to go. Like no Asklanders and stuff. And I think most people don't want to fucking play with that. If you want to play with that, go play friendly games on UB. I know I would personally deny any game versus Asklanders if somebody asked me to play it. If the vote does go like crazy in favor of it, I believe I would probably try to limit one random book, one like not real book per team, just to keep it a little like less oppressive to have like four people with the new shit. We'll see how it goes. I'm not. I could be running it. I'll probably help involve in it, but not do every little thing. I don't even know who's gonna be on my team. Uh, but hopefully, people are talking about, we're still playing Coronacon. Well, by the time we get everyone signed up for this next event, Coronacon will be like on around 4 or 5, and we can start the team event. So, anyway, look out for that. Look out for keep looking at Coronacon games. The password are usually Corona. So if you're just a viewer and you want to go into games, normally the password's Corona. Feel free to pop in and say hi and whatnot. Um, if you want to join the Discord and be in the team tournament stuff, just let us know and we can get you in there. And yeah, that's it. Have a great day, guys.